Thank you so much. We've just brought for you up here a few of the artists that are going to be taking part in some of the workshops and sessions this afternoon, and they're joined by Jodelle, fresh from BBC Young Dancer as well. I'm just going to do a quick channeling of Graham Norton. Don't judge me. I'm going to be giving them a quick question each, just to kind of give you a flavour of how they work to promote performance within their own contexts, and how they look at preparing for performance and preventing injury in each of their individual contexts. So, can we start with Sonja? So Sonja here is a dancer and a researcher and a healthcare practitioner. So I wondered, Sonja, if you could tell us a little bit about how each of those hats, how you wear those three hats, and how they inform your work in each of the different areas.
Well, I started out initially as a contemporary dancer, so I trained at London School of Contemporary Dance, and then after a knee injury I switched to healthcare. So I already had a sense of sort of body awareness and the experience of being a dancer, training as a dancer and working as a dancer. And then I've always had a love for hip-hop and hip-hop styles, and really then through the sort of transition of doing a lot of research and healthcare work and seeing how dancers in the hip-hop community reacted to injury, it's inspired me to be more involved and do more research in this area. Because I've found particularly that individuals that have had a training in a classical or contemporary school where they may have had direct access to a school physiotherapist, etc., often the path to healthcare is quite an obvious one. Whereas I've noticed more with the hip-hop community, it's because often the training isn't as codified. It's not to say that it's any less challenging, it's just a very different way of training. That sometimes actually getting individuals to be aware of what treatments are available for them and having confidence in healthcare that is available, that's the challenge, and that's something that I'm really passionate about promoting, and actually having that experience of being within the community and also wearing the hat of a healthcare practitioner. I try and sort of promote and blend the two, and equally for healthcare practitioners that I've worked with, trying to promote and create an understanding of the different and the unique demands of members of the hip-hop community as well.
Thank you. So next I wanted to pass over to Anthony, Jackson and Emmanuel, and I've forgotten how to pronounce your surname, I'm so sorry, and of Soul Mavericks. And I know that you both thought a lot about how you approach supporting your dancers' health and fitness within the company, so I wondered if you could just talk us through some of the key points for you in that regard.
Okay. So we're a B-boy crew, breaking, and it obviously has high impact on the body, and as Sonja said, most hip-hop dancers don't tend to have an invested knowledge into how to take care of your injury and for longevity. It's kind of claimed as a young person's dance. I'm 31.
36.
So we have to take care of ourselves, and it's become, we're the oldest guys in the crew, or selective a bunch of the oldest guys in the crew. And we have to make sure that our younger generation has longevity. My personal journey into researching into how to take care of my body and how to be more invested in fitness really came from long-term injuries. I had a wrist injury for 6 months, then I injured my wrist again for 6 months, and when you're in a competitive crew like mine, taking those 6 months out is really, really damaging to your reputation on the scene and your investment within the crew itself or within the company itself. Then I had a long-term knee injury, which again was for another 6 months. From that point on, I made a decision where I was like, okay, I have to make sure that all of the younger guys in my crew, as well as myself, are well informed in how to condition and how to take care of our bodies, especially around our joints, such as the knees, the wrists, because we treat our wrists like a second pair of ankles when clearly they're not. And that's pretty much what we've been sort of forcing on the crew for some time now. It's not an option.
So what kind of response do you get from the crew?
You want to take this one?
Well, from the crew and in B-boys in general, there's luckily we have physiotherapists in our crew, and we also have people qualified in personal training. But the thing with hip-hop dance, like breaking and all hip-hop dance I've seen, is people just tend to walk in and they just do it. Like you walk into a hip-hop class, you're going to do a general warm-up, you're going to stretch, and then you're going to start dancing. There isn't a big emphasis on, for myself personally, because I'm from a martial arts background, body mechanics, the proper use of your body in the activity in which you're doing. Because again, I'm 36, I am the oldest member in Soul Mavericks, apart from the guy who brought us together, but he doesn't break, and he's got injuries for days. So through martial arts, and I also played basketball, and I also done gymnastics. When you do these other things, because they've been around for so long, it's all based on body mechanics, the proper use of using your body in alignment. Hip-hop dance isn't, it's just usually based on doing the dance that you're doing. So when I talk to other B-boys, and we talk to our crew, when we talk to even hip-hop dancers about these things, nutrition, body mechanics, it's all coming along, but most people don't have the understanding simply because a lot of the teachers, unfortunately, don't have the understanding, and that leads to people saying, oh, but this teacher told me to do it this way. My approach and our approach to that in our crew and with other dancers is I always just tell them, if they can't explain to you why they're asking you to do that position in that way, they just lack the knowledge. I never try and say people are wrong, because the minute you say people are wrong to anybody, whether we're friends, whether we're crewmates, whether they're other dancers, they tend to look at you, oh, but maybe he's a better dancer than you, or he won that competition, so he's not wrong. I tell them no one is wrong. They just simply may not understand how that can injure your body. There are better ways to do it, and then I introduce them to that, and we show them through balance. If you're coming later today, you'll find out, so come along. But we show you through balance, we show you through natural exercises through which you can learn yourself through the way your body feels that it's correct. And that's how we approach it. We never say, this is wrong, this is right. We simply show you, and it's like walking. If I push you over and you fall over, but then I push you again and I show you where to put your feet and you don't fall over, you understand naturally that this is a better way to hold your posture. So yeah, that's how we approach it.
Thank you. I'm going to run across to Theo here. Welcome. Nice that you could join us. Thank you so much. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about, because I feel like you're known for your fitness and how fit you are. I wondered if you could, I didn't mean that in that way, I can hear Andrew laughing at the back there. It is the Graham Norton show after all. Could you talk to us a little bit about your fitness regime and how you integrate that into your practice?
My fitness, hello, hi. I take a lot of training from other different disciplines, from swimming to running, long distance running, to rock climbing, yoga, and I try and implement that within my dance practice. So one of the styles that I major in is crump dancing, and it's quite heavy on the joints in the sense that I'm stamping a lot, I'm throwing my arms. I may implement some breaking moves in my style as well. I tend to look at these other styles because of how long they last in terms of their career, and I've always wondered how it would be for myself as an athlete to implement some of their training in a dance, because I don't see, even though that crump has been around since 17 years now, I haven't seen anyone past 40 do crump and sustain a career from it, sustain a career from hip hop dancing. So I just looked at other different ways of just trying, implementing different training types into my training to sustain a longer career. Alongside that, I also heavily look at my nutrition and how I eat. Some of you may know that I'm quite strict on the way I eat, because that also has a massive effect on the way I deliver my moves. So recently I became plant-based. I started in August. I became a plant-based eater, and I found that I was able to move quicker, I was lighter on my feet. And I also kept my strength as well. A lot of people have this perception that, you're going to lose your strength, you're going to this, but I actually kept it, and I was able to build on that as well. But yeah, I guess.
Thank you so much. Right, I'm going to hand over to Jodelle now. I'll just speak to you here. And Jodelle, fresh from BBC. Ah, there's another one. There you go. I can sit back down there. Thank you so much. Fresh from the BBC Young Dancer competition and putting, popping, locking specifically out there. I wondered, you seemed so calm and collected when they interviewed you, and I just wondered how you prepare for that kind of pressure, for that kind of competition. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Good question. Yeah, the preparation was hard because I've never been given a platform such as like that big to come across how I want to and how to express myself, and thinking about that became very hard. But in terms of like preparing for like the show and in terms of movement and stuff, it was difficult because like these lot have been saying, like personally I don't know much about how to warm up or how to use my body correctly when this and that. So when I really want to attack like a movement when I was practicing, it was hard because I didn't want to injure myself just before the show. So I'm glad I'm here today to see what I could take from these guys especially and put into my future training and practice, I guess. So yeah. Thank you.
I just want to get up and down and move. Thank you so much, Jodelle, and hopefully we'll have Jodelle giving us the impression that he's had as a young dancer of everything that is going to go on throughout the conference today at the end of the day. So it'd be interesting to know what you've picked up from all of our wonderful speakers. Would you mind handing the microphone over to Silvia, please? Now, Silvia here is from Mimbre, and when we originally went down the road of organising this conference, we were also looking at circus, so Silvia was very involved in helping us in the early stages. It became quite clear as through the process that, you know, within circus, within hip-hop, that there's just so many diverse styles that we've kind of decided to separate things out. But we still wanted to include Silvia because I think that with the acrobatic work you do, there's a lot of relevance with many of the dancers here. So I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about how you approach injury prevention and fitness for performance in your company setting.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Silvia. I'm joint artistic director of Mimbre, and we are a small all-female acrobatic company. We specialize in outdoor theatre, so we perform a lot outdoor. And I guess performing outdoor, maybe similarly to the floors that you use for breaking or street dance, we started to get quite injured because it's quite harsh on your joints. And similarly in acrobatic, there's a lot of impact work, so I think that's where the kind of similarity happens. So, as usual, pathway to looking into how to look after your body came after we started to get injured. Being quite a small company and being sort of specialized in outdoor touring, we have a clear yearly schedule because our tour happens primarily in the summer, so we are able to program our training schedule quite well. So we look at our overall yearly commitments, we look at the schedules, the touring schedules, and then we kind of prepare the performers for the tour according to those schedules. So it became quite easy for us to pinpoint a pattern. What we do, we kind of really look at how to break down the moves that our performers need to do in the shows. So we kind of start in the autumn with a really long preparation time. So we can do a lot of strengthening, a lot of conditioning, and break down the moves so they learn quite slowly. Because we found out that if we kind of throw ourselves into moves without really looking at the mechanics of how the moves happen, it's quite a lot easier to get injured. So we normally start with a physio assessment. So we work with a physiotherapist that is specialized in circus. This physiotherapy company works at the National Centre for Circus Arts, which is a circus school. They've got a degree in performing arts and circus. So they have a physio there that now knows all the acrobatics vocabulary and the circus vocabulary, which is a great help for us as well. So we give, basically each performer gets a physiotherapy assessment, and then according to that we tailor like a physio program, conditioning program that is individualized, and then the performers need to do that alongside the company training. We also ask them, the performers, to keep a training diary to record what sort of the training session have been like, how they find in the physio exercises, whether they see any improvements. We ask to record their sleeping patterns, mood patterns, and nutrition. So that sort of helps to pinpoint kind of if there, what the improvements are needed, and if they kind of start seeing the specific patterns throughout the training. We also offer massage halfway through the tour. Normally we offer a massage before the tour starts and throughout the tour, well, midway through the tour and then at the end of the tour. And also we kind of try to respond to the individual needs. So obviously if there is a injury happens, or if somebody starts to feel a niggle during the tour, we kind of try to jump on it before it's too late, so we would offer a physio assessment. Then again, during the training period, we have a weekly Pilates company Pilates class. We found that Pilates has helped us a lot to prevent injury. There are a lot of other therapies and movement kind of classes that you can take, but we kind of chose Pilates as our company one, and it seems to have made a massive difference. And also, one of the things that we can do, we are a national portfolio organization, which means we get regularly funded by the Arts Council, and that's how we are able to offer our performers like a very thought-through training program and injury prevention program, I suppose. So we try also to give them a contract that sort of covers the touring period, because we try to avoid our performers having to go and looking for work in a lot of other places, because that normally creates a lot of tiredness and we don't know what they're going to go and do. And so it's all about, I suppose, company investment. We invest them to have that sort of longevity and to create a core team that also understands how we work as a company and that understands how the body works, because that's really important for us. We've also started to use mats in our set. We always work with a small set. Our shows are very physical, but are sort of theme narrative driven as well. So we always have a small, simple set that kind of accompanies the performance. So within the set, we start to build in mats, because we work very often on pavement, and we realise that in the long run is really not good. And we're very interested in longevity. I'm still performing, I'm 42, and actually, since we start thinking about injury prevention, at Bboy, I feel better than 10 years ago. So it's really, really important to start investing into your body. If you work with other people, to talk to them about the importance of that, because it's quite easy when you're young. I see a lot of people coming out of circus school and they just want to, you know, they've learned all these tricks, so that's what they want to do, and I totally understand that, but you really have to kind of look after your body straight away, because otherwise you'll kind of pay for it later on. So yeah, I think, so generally we're trying to look at it holistically. As a company, we are able to offer this program, we are able to put a pot of money aside. I would say even if you're an individual dancer, it might be worth investing a little bit of your money into that, because it really will pay off and it will give you a lot more longevity. So in the long run, you'll be able to do what you love for longer, I suppose.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really brilliant insight into quite an advanced setup with, you know, you've put loads of thought into that. It's really good to hear. I'm sure we can take a lot away from that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you mind passing along to Nefeli now? So Nefeli, one of our people advising us on putting this conference together, thank you Nefeli, and really pioneering in your work with Project Breakalign and trying to get this injury prevention message out to breakers. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that and what your aim is to kind of get this kind of education work out further.
Thank you, Helen. It has been a challenging road, I must say. I started breaking really late. I started breaking in my mid-20s, so that was quite late for somebody who had already been dancing for 17 years, doing ballet. So I had to face a lot of new injuries that I didn't know where they came from. So taking that lesson from my own body, I thought something has to be done because there's no infrastructure in how to take care of our bodies within hip hop. And even being a ballerina all my life, I didn't know enough to protect myself. So that's when I started Project Breakalign 4 years ago, and it has been difficult to reach the breakers and generally the hip hop scene. Anything that has a methodology, anything that is structured and has a code is difficult to pass on to hip hop generally because it's all about being spontaneous, organic, and learning in more natural ways rather than just giving a box to people. So it has been difficult, but I guess having myself and other people from my team who have been practitioners of hip hop and active people in the scene, and B-boys and B-girls, it has given some pure and original insight to this scene.
I might just take a moment then to read. No. I might just take a moment then to read what Emma sent through that I found, because you might recognise this. So she says, "My name's Emma Walsh. I've worked in the dance industry here in the UK for almost 12 years as a dancer, choreographer and teacher. On Valentine's Day 2012, while teaching class at Pineapple Studios, I broke my foot. In disbelief, I watched as the doctor pointed out my broken bone on the X-ray. 4 weeks, they said, then I could get back to it. Don't worry. As the weeks passed and I saw little improvement, worry did set in. My good friend Kate Prince, who as fate would have it, had also broken her foot, stressed the need for a second opinion, and with no change to be seen in my left foot, I took heed. With Kate's help, I got in touch with me, Helen, at One Dance UK, and as a direct result, I went to see Dr. Roger Wellman at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital at his dance injury clinic. Dr. Wellman and his team were fantastic, thorough and understanding of a dancer's needs. Their assessment was that I needed surgery, that my break would not heal by itself. As it happened, I had an NHS appointment scheduled the next day, already with a different doctor. Dr. Wellman encouraged me to stress that I was a dancer and that this was my livelihood. The doctor I saw dismissed surgery on site, saying we would never operate there. So, with consideration of the facts to hand and the sound advice of One Dance UK and Dr. Wellman and team, I decided to have the surgery. In its aftermath, my surgeon told me that when the bone broke, it took tissue with it, which had remained at the break site. Without surgery, it would never have healed. I would have effectively been lame, and certainly it would have been the end of my career. Thankfully, I made a full recovery. I don't like heels as much as I used to, but I'm still going strong, and that is without a doubt down to the advice of One Dance UK and a good friend too. As dancers, our bodies are essential to what we do. It's always when you lose something that you realise its worth. My injury taught me not to take my feet for granted, and moreover, to invest in the care of my body, to love it a little more. I'm so grateful to the support and work of One Dance UK and the Healthier Dancer teams. They've made a world of difference to my career and my life. So that was really good to hear from us, that we were able to help, but we are not the be-all and end-all. All of these people are doing amazing things, and you're going to hear from them today, and hopefully this is just the beginning of us as a sector within a sector trying to make a difference to keep the dancers dancing effectively.
I just want to add one thing briefly following on from that. I had the privilege to spend almost 6 weeks, I think it was, at the clinic with Dr. Woolman and Caroline, who's here today. And I have to say it was a really enlightening and wonderful experience because they're so open to understanding and learning more about hip-hop dance styles and the community and what the particular needs are. And I can't stress enough how invaluable and lucky we are to have that service, and really urge people to look into having treatment there if they do have any problems, because I've seen the work they do there and it's really fun.